Hello there, a very warm welcome to you to this maiden edition of Young Minds. Young Minds is a program that promises to inculcate in the minds of young people between the ages of 15 to 30 years, physically, socially, academically, and otherwise. My name, John Best Uche. To be discussed today on this program is a very pertinent subject that any aspiring successful young man or lady cannot afford to do away with in life, and that is mentor. I'm really sure you may be wondering, what about that? But do relax as I first introduce to you my guest for today, with whom I shall be driving this point home. I have here with me a veteran in the art of television production in broader spectrum, a one-time winner of the MTN Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, a mentor of thousands. Mr. Umar Angibi is his name. You're very much welcome, sir.
Thank you, John.
All right. Before we just proceed to the discussion, let's just take a short break. We'll be back in a jiffy. Do not go away. Wow, I hope you did learn from that, and if you're just joining us, you're on to Young Minds, and we are here discussing mentoring. Mr. Umar Angibi, can you really tell us who a mentor is and probably what mentoring entails?
Thank you, John. Mentoring, to my mind, has to do with someone who is more knowledgeable, more experienced, taking a less experienced person through knowledge and experience, giving guidance. That is what mentoring is. It is a relationship between someone who is knowledgeable, more experienced, with someone usually referred to as the mentee, who has less of that knowledge or experience and is guided. So the person who does the guidance, whether male or female, more experienced and more knowledgeable, is referred to as the mentor. And the act is now what is referred to as mentorship.
Having known the meaning of mentoring, a mentor, knowing even a mentee, are there mentors available? Are there mentors around today?
Yes, there are mentors. You see, the act of mentoring has become so important in the day-to-day lives of the individuals that require that institutions, organizations, families, parents, or some other people go through the troubles of finding or employing someone to do the job. For instance, in organizations can actually have someone who takes the staff through mentorship on the organizational goals and directions or focus. In schools, some schools can actually have someone trained to give guidance, such mentorship to the students within the school. Also, parents could actually have their kids mentored by someone they choose or they feel is qualified to do that. So yeah, there are mentors. And besides that, some who are professionals in the field, who gauge the mood of the society or environment where they belong, may decide either as a part of their day-to-day business, decide to offer mentorship on a broad or large scale and invite people to come for such services. So there are mentors.
That's really good. I want to know, why should young people actually go for mentoring, or why should they go for mentors and all of that?
Well, today our society is so complicated, and for the fact that it is a global village where we have not just our immediate environment to deal with, because of the exposure to the social media, television, satellite TV communications and all that, yes, young people need mentorship to properly give them a direction, a focus. So they need it, certainly.
All right. While you were growing up as a young person or youth, did you have a mentor, and what was your experience then?
Looking back from now, and actually that you've asked the question, I don't think there was such thing during my time as a mentor, someone that was particularly assigned, or I was assigned to mentor me. But in a few years back, because of our own traditional setting, parents may identify someone either close to the family, a relation, or someone within or around the neighborhood, and ask that the person assist you here and there on the day-to-day activities. For instance, if they identify someone to be performing well academically, you can be asked, or the person can be asked to assist you. So that was the kind or the form under which my own type of mentoring came. But there wasn't someone particularly assigned or employed or given to me to mentor me at that time.
What I can actually deduce from what you just said is that, or if I'm permitted to, allowed to say, it's like it's more or less a traditional mode of mentoring, all of that, you know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That time, the society, our culture, African culture and traditions, were still tied to certain cultures, and education over the years. In the last, say, 20 years, there have been revolutionary changes in the way our societies exist. This is owing to the fact that the coming of the ICT age has actually influenced our behavior and our ways of life. But way back, the thinking and the problems of our society, especially in Nigeria and Africa, wasn't that. Of course, you can find within certain family setups that they may have actually had their children mentored, but in a larger society, our parents depended on this traditional method of knowledge, inculcating certain values in us. So I was part of those category of children who had to rely on either uncles, aunts, or other relations, or those within the immediate neighborhood for mentoring. It is important to state that mentoring is more specialized, is more specific. You have to find someone who is knowledgeable, more experienced than the other person that requires the mentoring. And it is also important to point out that it does not mean that it has to come from a more elderly person to a younger person. Mentoring can be from a younger person given someone who is even older than he or she. But the line there is that it's important that whoever is doing the mentoring must be more experienced and more knowledgeable than the person receiving the mentoring or the mentee.
It's really interesting to know that anybody can be a mentor regardless of age. Before we just continue, let's take a short break. And when we return, we'll continue the discussion, please.
I go always pray for you. I go always pray for you. Make the grace of Jesus see you through. I go always pray for you. As all of us they go our separate ways. Na good story we go to tell when we see again of how God done bless me and bless you too. I go always pray for you. And even if I'm far from you, you always in my heart. It's not true, not true. I again. And when we meet again, none of us go day in shame, but not from glory to glory. In Jesus' name, we go surely meet again. Oh, if I offend you before, forgive me, so that when we see again, you know go get TPP for me. We all need each other to see life through, so I go always pray for you.
That was Pray For You, Always Pray For You by Nosa, and it means that we are praying for you while you're making your decision or choosing your mentors. We really hope that you not make mistake in choosing the right mentors. So, Mr. Umar, Mr. Angibi, we really want to know what needs to be considered before choosing a mentor.
It is very essential that when deciding on a mentor to someone, the mentee, that the person is experienced and knowledgeable enough to address the areas of needs of the mentee. Because we have, when you talk about mentoring, you have to identify the areas of needs. For instance, does the person require academic mentoring? Is it some kind of guidance towards some professional or other issues like career choices? Are you preparing someone to become the best in some competitions or activities later in the future? Or how you carefully prepare the individual? And in an individual's life, you may find that at different stages you may need to change the person that mentors. For younger people, for the adolescent, to those who are in their early 20s, to even those at the later ages, depending on the areas of requirements or needs. So someone may be very good mentoring younger people, and in some circumstances you may need to change when the person develops, the mentee grows to another stage in his life or her life. And then the person that you pick has to be disciplined, has to be God-fearing, and must be a professional to the strictest sense of it. Sometimes someone can be very knowledgeable, very experienced, but when you pair him with someone that eventually the person can become emotionally involved, then that could defeat the essence of mentoring. So you need to find someone that is actually the right stuff in all the areas before you assign him or her to mentor someone. And it is essential too that the person who is mentoring, if it is an organization in schools, or needs to also constantly upgrade knowledge. And when you find that it is the kind of stages in the mentoring, then proper records has to be kept too by the person who starts with the mentee, so that when the other person comes in to take from there, would have some kind of data to work on.
All right, but I want to know, can I, while in the university or higher institution, can I still have more than two mentors? I mean, more than one mentor or something like that?
Yes, you can have, but those mentoring will have to define their areas that they would now be relating with you as a mentee, so that you don't have conflict.
Okay.
That's the danger. So that, and they will need to sit down to decide that, right? It is not something that you just do in randomly or without the knowledge of the other, because you may have the tendency, if they don't know that they are both mentoring you, although it's something that is a contract, it's an understanding. But if you decide to keep 2 or 3 at the same time, the implication is that you are going to give yourself problems, and you may end up having problems yourself. If you decide to be checking with this one what the other mentor says, their thinking, their motivations, or what they observe may be different, or the sets of behavior you present to this and the environment may be slightly different. For instance, if you have a female mentoring you on the one side and the male mentoring you on the one side, and their levels of knowledge and experiences are not the same, the tendency for one to give you some kind of a mentoring act different from the other one can place you in some positions of conflict and confusion. So it is important that they sit down, understand themselves, and decide, this is the area that I feel I should handle on this person, and this is the area I feel you should handle. And that way it will be safer for you and better for them.
Okay. But are there any disadvantages attached by not having a mentor by a young person?
I don't think the disadvantages it should be the issue. It has to do with certain factors, of course. If you have someone attending a good school, and the school takes care of the person well, and then the family background is stable enough to maintain such a person, it doesn't really become necessary that you give the person a mentor, right? But some might decide, okay, out of observation, either from the parent or from a more experienced person or institution, require that you, or because you have certain things, certain goals they would want you to achieve, then they decide you have a mentor. Then there are advantages there. And of course, if sometimes these mentors come also at a cost. So if you can afford it, and if it is a sin that you require to be guided in that direction, it has lots of advantages. It makes you more focused, more targeted towards your goals than when one is left on his own to actually stumble and find himself or herself there. So if you can get a mentor, it helps. But if the environment where you exist is providing that, there's no need to be worried about that, because if I say you must do it, then you are placing other members of the society who cannot afford that into a state of worry, or they will be disturbed that maybe something is lacking. And you can actually place yourself and reach out through the social media and other forms and actually be guided. But the only thing is that mentoring the relationship has to be closer than just when you lean on to models.
All right, before we just continue, let's just take a very short break. When we return, we got to know the difference between mentoring and role modeling and all of that, because I am very sure they are, but I don't really know that. You tell the young minds out there. Difference between role modeling and mentoring?
Well, for mentoring, like I said earlier on, it has to do with someone more knowledgeable, more experienced, who has this relationship with someone who is less experienced. giving guidance. But role model, in my opinion, has to do with someone identifying another person, either by way of lifestyle, behavior, or certain attributes, and then copying or taking to that person as someone that I would like to be like. To be like. So role model, well, in that sense, the person that is a role model may not actually know that he has admirers, but the admirer constantly follows his or her behavior or activities and tries to be like that person. That's what role modeling is. But some of the role models are actually aware that people they have admirers, and they also behave in such a way to influence positive behaviors on the admirers. But for role model, it has to be close in terms of relationship. The danger is that for role models, behaviors that are both positive and negative could easily be copied.
Okay.
You understand? But in mentoring, they are carefully transmitted communication, behavioral modifications or improvements, deliberately done to improve on those specific areas of needs of the mentee. Even in death, one can still serve as a role model, right? But for mentorship, that person has to be alive. That person has to have some kind of links with the person that he's mentoring. With the coming of the ICT age today, of course, distance barriers could be there, but by way of links, whoever the mentor is on the other side of the spectrum will have to have a way of connecting with this other spectrum.
Knowing very well that mentoring is a two-way relationship, what are those benefits a mentor and a mentee stand to get?
Well, the benefit for the mentor first, with every experience, you build on the knowledge on how to deal with new cases, and you get the satisfaction that you've been able to influence the life of someone, either a younger person or an older person than you, because like we said, the issue there is that the person has to be more knowledgeable, more experienced. And for the mentee, of course, the benefit there, the most immediate benefit is that through the relationship you are able to achieve certain targets or goals, right? And then it broadens your knowledge, and it gives you, besides the peer group influence that you get, and the parental tutelage that you acquire, and then the academic or the school classroom, the school environment kind of thing, you are able to actually get another person who is taking particular interest on certain aspects of your developmental life. So those are the benefits.
That's good. Then before we just call it a wrap, what are those challenges? I know definitely in every race there is always a challenge and all of that. What are those challenges faced by mentors today?
Well, in an organized setting like schools, for instance, if you have a mentor, you are dealing with a rather large group of people that you are mentoring, and it can be a problem sometimes, because influences the knowledge or the act you're trying to correct in one can easily be tampered with by relationship of the mentee or other group of people in the society. So sometimes you have to be extremely patient in order to see the results, right? And in the kind of setting that we are, the African setting, and then other aspects of religion and culture come in, some of the things that might be professionally adequate or right on the basis of what the mentor thinks might be countered by other cultures and traditions, and so that may affect the smooth progress that one can feel or find on the mentee.
You've really spoken very well, Mr. Umar. But I would want you to give the young minds out there the final thoughts on this issue.
Okay, well, to the young people out there, we live in an environment now that everybody, the moment you are born, there are expectations on you, whether you're a male or female. Immediately you begin to crawl, your parents are putting you in the creche or kindergarten, and then the nursery, and then all that is guiding one towards how to survive in life. So part of that is, if you're lucky, you have someone mentoring you, then you should take the advantage seriously, listen, pay attention, and follow the guidance that's provided. And if you don't happen to have the privilege that others get, where parents or schools or organizations provide such things, if you happen to have someone around, you can avail yourself and ask for such assistance to be provided. And you can help yourself also by using the social media to identify people with such skills or talents to assist you. But I must point out here that you have to be careful, and parents too have to be very careful who they allow in terms of distance relationship, especially with the social media these days, because they can also negatively influence and wrongly engage your words, and with the resulting consequences being very, very negative.
You've just heard it all, and I must say, Mr. Angibi, that you've really spoken very well on this platform, and it has been indeed an enlightening moment being with you in the studio for this discourse. Very much grateful for that, and I'm very sure you've really learned, because myself, I've learned a whole lot of things about mentoring. If you do not have a mentor, if you don't mind also, I would really urge you go for one today. Interesting enough, anybody can be a mentor regardless of age. But do not forget, there must be a certain area of expertise by that individual. Well, this is where we'll call it a wrap today on the program Young Minds. Do join us again on Young Minds. Next time we'll come your way with another interesting episode. My name, John Best Uche, saying goodbye and have a lovely day ahead.